My name is Ethan. Some truths are so dangerous that when they come to light, they don't just kill relationships, they slowly murder the human being inside a person. 4 years. People say time passes very fast, but to me, 4 years felt like an entire lifetime. After living that much life with someone, if anyone asked you who you want to spend your life with, you wouldn't hesitate, you'd take just one name. I did the same. Without thinking, I took her name. She wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my routine, my habit, my planning, the picture of my future. I never imagined that the person you share your weaknesses with could one day become your greatest weakness. Everything felt completely normal. Maybe that's why nothing felt unusual to me. We laughed, made plans for the future, talked about marriage, sometimes even about children's names. I didn't know that all those conversations were just words, hiding a terrifying truth behind them. That night wasn't special either. We were lying together. She was close to my chest and I was playing with her hair. Her body was near me, but her mind was somewhere else. I could feel her taking deep breaths again and again, as if with every breath she was trying to release a burden she was carrying inside. I didn't ask anything. Maybe I didn't want to disturb the silence. Or maybe, deep down, I was running away from a truth that had come very close to me. Then she said the sentence that is often spoken just before a story truly begins. I need to tell you something. Her voice was trembling. There was something in her eyes that wasn't just tears, it was breaking apart. I sat up immediately. For the first time, my heart started pounding hard. She told me she was pregnant. For a few seconds, I couldn't even understand how I was supposed to react. My first thought was that I was going to be a father. Not happiness, but a sense of responsibility. Fear was there, confusion too. Still, my heart accepted it as the next step of our lives. But somewhere deep inside, there was a small voice. The kind of voice that only appears when truth and lies are standing in the same place. My suspicion hadn't appeared suddenly. For some time she had been acting different. Someone who used to share everything had become quiet. Her phone was always on silent. Replies came late. Sometimes, even in the same room, she felt far away from me. I convinced myself that I was overthinking. Doubting a 4-year relationship felt like insulting myself. I buried my doubts. And maybe that's why when she told me the next truth, it destroyed me even more. She confessed that one night, just one night, she made a mistake. A one-night stand. No planning, no love, just a moment that turned into a lifetime burden. She repeated the word mistake again and again. And every time she said it, it wounded me even more. She kept crying, hiding behind her tears. She kept saying that she had cut off all contact with that guy, that I was the only one who mattered to her, that she couldn't live with the weight of guilt anymore, so she told me the truth. I just kept listening. At that moment, speaking was beyond me. My silence was filled with questions, accusations, and a pain that couldn't be put into words. 2 days. Just 2 days later, she placed another truth in front of me. The baby wasn't mine. This time there was no doubt, no confusion left. Just a deep wound, one that hit straight at a person's pride. It felt like all my effort, all my loyalty, all those years had become meaningless in a single moment. I broke down. I screamed. I said things that I probably didn't even want to hear myself. She started crying again, begging again, making promises again. Every day she tried to convince me to stay. Sometimes she said she couldn't live without me. Sometimes she said she would fix everything. And I stayed silent. But my silence wasn't empty. Something else was being born behind it, something that even scared me. Then one day, I said that I could stay with her. A spark appeared in her eyes. Maybe she thought her prayer had been accepted. But along with that hope, I placed one condition. A condition that would change her life, and mine as well. She agreed without thinking too much. And with that single yes, we both stepped onto a path from which there was no easy return. Some decisions feel like revenge in the moment, but in reality, they are seeds that, over time, grow nothing but pain, regret, and inner torment. That condition will come forward, the one that slowly began turning love into hatred. When I told her that I could stay with her, she couldn't believe it for a moment. The spark that appeared in her eyes pierced me. Maybe because behind that spark, I could see my own broken self. She moved closer to me, as if everything would return to normal, as if 4 years of love had come back to life with a single sentence. But I wasn't normal. I wasn't the same person I used to be at all. My voice was calm, so calm that even I doubted it. I told her there was one condition to staying together. Just one. She agreed before I could even finish my sentence. Maybe she didn't want to lose me at any cost. Maybe at that moment, she was just trying to save her own life. Then I put that condition into words. Her face turned pale instantly. There was fear in her eyes, shock, and somewhere deep inside, a heavy sense of trauma. She stayed silent for a while. I didn't pressure her. I just kept looking into her eyes, as if I were reading the battle going on inside her. She said she needed time, to think, to understand. I only nodded. I knew time wouldn't work in her favor. Time would only increase her fear. The next day, she was sitting in front of me again. This time her voice was very soft. She said she was ready to accept my condition. She said maybe this was the only way everything could be fixed. She said she was ready to carry the burden of her mistake. At that moment, I lowered my eyes. Maybe I didn't want her to see what had slowly been born inside me. From that day on, everything turned into a strange routine. Doctor visits, paperwork, appointments. At every step, she would ask me if I was okay, and every time I would just say, yes. But in reality, I wasn't okay at all. I was becoming empty from the inside. At night, when she was beside me, I was close to her body but miles away from her. She slept with her head on my chest, and I kept staring at the ceiling. There were no questions in my mind, only images. Every image reminded me of how I had been betrayed. Sometimes I felt like I had gone too far, like maybe I should stop here. But then I would remember the day she said the baby wasn't mine, and then a different person would rise inside me. She slowly started speaking less. The color faded from her face. Dark circles appeared under her eyes. I knew the pain she was going through, but I never held her hand and told her that everything would be okay. Maybe I was no longer capable of telling such lies. Sometimes she cried, quietly, in the bathroom, or at night when she thought I was asleep. I felt everything, every tear, every sob. And each time, somewhere in a corner of my heart, a cold sense of satisfaction was born. That satisfaction made me hate myself. But I couldn't stop. One day she asked me if I would ever forgive her. I didn't answer. I only said that everything gets better with time. She went silent after hearing that. Maybe she had already seen the truth in my eyes. Then the day arrived that we had never openly talked about. Everything was done. She looked extremely weak, as if not just her body, but her soul was exhausted too. She looked at me as if hoping for some support. And even then, I was calm. Too calm. She probably thought that now that everything was over, we could make a new beginning. Maybe she believed that this sacrifice would save our relationship. She had no idea that this sacrifice wouldn't be coming from her side alone. That day, I felt a decision complete itself inside me, a decision I had never fully accepted, not even to myself. That night, I didn't say anything to her. But my silence was no longer the same as before. When a person decides to take revenge, they often don't realize that they're not only throwing someone else into the fire, but also burning their own future with them. A moment will arrive when another face of the truth comes forward, and no one will be ready for it. The days that followed passed in a strange kind of silence. A silence that wasn't just the absence of words, but the death of emotions. Everything in the house was the same, things in their places, routines unchanged, but the two of us were already lost somewhere. She was close to me, yet I felt her drifting a little farther away from me every day. Or maybe I was the one stepping back. I could no longer tell the difference. Sometimes at night, she would look at my face and pause, as if she wanted to say something. Then she would quietly lower her gaze. I started avoiding her eyes, because I was afraid that if I looked into them for too long, I might not be able to stop myself. The exhaustion was clearly visible on her body, weight in every step, pain in every breath. Sometimes she seemed to be talking to herself, as if gathering her courage. I saw all of it, and still I remained silent. In that silence, my mind spoke too much. I remembered every moment when I had trusted her blindly, every word she had said with a smile, every promise that now felt like nothing more than a lie. Sometimes I asked myself, what if she had never told me the truth that night? What if I had never doubted her? Would I still be happy today? And then another question came, one that made me even more restless. Is what I'm doing really justice, or just my own weakness? I remember the day we first met. I remember the first time she said she loved me. The strange thing was that these memories no longer gave me peace, they only hurt me more. One evening she came and sat beside me. We stayed silent for a long time, then she asked softly, "Why are you so quiet these days?" I didn't give a direct answer. I said I was tired. She nodded as if she wasn't even expecting the truth. Then she said she was scared of herself, of her memories, and of me too. That shook me for a moment. But then the part of me that remembered only one thing woke up: betrayal. Days passed. She slowly started mentioning her parents more often. She said maybe she should go stay with them for a while. Maybe she needed a change of air. I didn't react. Maybe I already knew that this distance wouldn't be temporary. There was a strange mix of calm and fear on her face, as if she was close to making a decision, but the real decision had probably already gone far beyond both of us. Then came the day she started packing her bag. There wasn't much, just a few clothes, a few personal things. Every time she picked something up, she paused, as if each item was reminding her of an old memory. I stood at a distance, watching everything. I didn't stop her. I didn't ask when she would come back. When she reached the door, she stopped for a moment. She looked at me. In that look, there was a question, hope, and maybe one last apology. I only said, "Take care of yourself." She stood there for a few seconds, then left without saying anything. The door closed, and with that sound, it felt like a chapter had ended. After she left, the house felt even emptier. Many nights, I sat alone wondering, did I win? And if this was a victory, why did it feel so empty? A few weeks later, I found out that she had gone to live with her parents. Her name came up sometimes through mutual friends. When I asked about her, people avoided my eyes and changed the subject, as if they knew everything but didn't want to say anything. That behavior made me even more uneasy. Why were people avoiding my gaze? Why wouldn't they answer my questions properly? At night I couldn't sleep, sometimes because of guilt, sometimes because of anger. Sometimes I felt what I did was completely right, and sometimes I felt utterly disgusting. I realized that the story wasn't over yet. The real story was only beginning to reveal its true colors. And the most dangerous thing was this: I had started hiding the truth even from myself. Some wounds aren't felt when we inflict them on others. Their real pain begins when we are left alone, and the truth stands in front of us. Smiling, that truth will come fully into the open, and then neither revenge will remain clean, nor the human being. After she left, time didn't stop, but something inside me froze forever. I was alone in the house, yet the real loneliness lived in my thoughts. Everything was in its place, but everything felt like it was staring at me. The sofa where she used to sit and cry quietly, the corner of the kitchen where she would drink water, trying to steady her breath, and the bedroom where the silence screamed the loudest. I kept convincing myself that what happened had to happen, that what she did deserved this outcome. But this reassurance only worked during the day. At night, when darkness settled in, my mind got stuck in one place. And then the memories returned. The day after the abortion. That scene is still clear in my mind, as if someone permanently saved it behind my eyes. On the way back from the hospital, she was completely silent. A silence that wasn't just exhaustion, but the mourning of something lost. There was no color on her face. Her eyes were empty, as if she wasn't even present inside her own body. When we got home, she went straight to the bed and lay down. She didn't ask me anything. Maybe there was nothing left to ask. I stood in the room for a while, then walked out without saying a word. At that moment, I felt that if I stayed any longer, I might break. That night, she tried to talk to me for the first time. She asked, "Everything will be okay now?" "Right." Her voice was so fragile that even a soft breeze felt like it could shatter her. Even then, I didn't give her a direct answer. I just said that it would take time. She went quiet, but there was no hope in that silence, only helplessness. In flashbacks, I remember how she couldn't even walk straight for the next few days. Sometimes she would groan in pain at night. Sometimes she would suddenly start crying for no reason. I saw all of it. And every time I reminded myself that this was the result of her mistake. But the truth was, I was losing something myself every single day. Then that day came, the day I showed her my real face. She was weak physically and emotionally. She probably thought that now that everything was over, we would support each other again. She made tea for me. Yes, she still had that much strength left. Her hands were trembling as she placed the cup in my hand. And in that moment, I exploded. I told her that I had never intended to stay with her, that everything I said, every hope I gave her was a lie. I told her that the abortion wasn't just my condition, it was my revenge, my punishment. The expression on her face, even today, it sends a chill through my body, as if in a single moment she understood everything. Love, hope, mistake, and punishment, all collapsing into one place at once. She stayed completely silent for a few seconds. Then tears started flowing from her eyes, but these weren't tears like before. There was no begging in them, no apology. They were just empty tears. And I didn't stop. For hours, I kept attacking her with words. Every weakness of hers, every fear, everything she had ever shared only with me, I turned it all into weapons. I even told her that whatever was happening to her, she deserved it. In the end, I told her to leave the house, immediately. Or I would call the police. She stood up without screaming, without crying. She just looked at me. In that look there was no anger, no hatred, only a deep exhaustion, as if she had already lost to life itself. And then she left. Today, when I remember all of this, I understand that my revenge was complete that day. But along with it, I was finished too. I just didn't realize it at the time. Now that months have passed, when I hear that she lives with her parents, when mutual friends look at me with strange expressions, I realize that people know everything. Maybe they don't judge me, maybe they are afraid of me. And the one who is most afraid is me. Sometimes the guilt becomes so heavy that my body freezes. Sweat, a racing heart, tears in my eyes, all come without warning. I remember her face, her silence on the way back from the hospital, and then that look on the day I threw her out of the house. That day, it felt good. Today, the weight of that feeling suffocates my breath. Maybe this story was never about revenge. Maybe this story was about how betrayal doesn't just break relationships. It brings a person to a place where the line between right and wrong disappears. And when that line disappears, what remains is only emptiness. Some people don't win even after taking revenge, because the real punishment is never given to the other. It always ends up in one's own share.